My brother, consumed by jealousy, hooked up with my fiancée just after our engagement, so I exposed the betrayal to the entire family, and now they're feeling the consequences. I'm 23 and within the span of 2 weeks, I went from being engaged to heartbroken. My fiancé, Riley, 23 betrayed me on the very night we got engaged, sharing a moment with my older brother, Adam, 27 To add insult to injury, Adam had the audacity to flaunt it in my face, as if to revel in my pain. Riley and I had been together for nearly 3 years, but she threw it all away for my brother the very next day after professing her excitement about marrying me. Devastated, I ended our relationship via text and blocked her number. I even changed the locks on our house, ensuring she couldn't return. We had shared a home for a year, and everything seemed perfect, until it wasn't. I never imagined she would betray me with Adam, of all people, especially considering the fierce rivalry and animosity that existed between us. My dad passed away when I was a baby, leaving me with barely any memories, while Adam had at least spent some time with him, but those memories felt distant and irrelevant. Growing up, Adam was never kind to me. In fact, he was my biggest rival and bully. Our mother, a single parent, had to prioritize work over our conflicts, leaving our sibling rivalry unchecked. My uncle, my dad's brother, was the only positive male presence in my life, doing his best to help out. My mother maintained ties with my dad's family after his passing to ensure they didn't lose their connection to us. In many ways, my uncle became the father figure I desperately needed. It was clear that if my mother had to choose, she favored Adam. This dynamic only fueled my desire for her approval, deepening our rivalry. Unfortunately, I was the underdog, awkward in sports and average in academics. I felt insecure and invisible. Adam, on the other hand, thrived in every aspect, athletic, charismatic, and popular. I grew used to living in his shadow, feeling inferior and letting him push me around. My self-esteem plummeted, and throughout my school years, I struggled to make friends, often labeled as the weird kid. Everything shifted when I graduated high school and moved away to college. I reinvented myself, free from the identity of being Adam's little brother, thanks to my uncle, who stepped in to fund my education despite my mother's limitations. I was able to start fresh. I made friends, excelled in my studies, and graduated at the top of my class. My mother and uncle were there to celebrate, but Adam didn't bother to show up, even though I had attended his graduation. After moving out, Adam and I drifted apart. He resented me for reasons I couldn't comprehend, and I despised him for making my formative years a nightmare. Our interactions were limited to holiday gatherings, where civility was all we managed to maintain. I did offer him my support when he faced financial ruin a couple of years ago after a failed business venture, but he took my message the wrong way, blocking me and cutting off contact. Things spiraled for Adam after that. He switched jobs frequently, struggling to find fulfillment in any role. His physical appearance mirrored his emotional state, with shabbier clothes and a noticeable decline in his demeanor at family gatherings. Despite my past grievances, it became increasingly difficult to harbor hatred for someone so clearly in pain. My uncle tried to bring him into our lives, but Adam consistently opted out. After a year together, I brought Riley to family gatherings. She was aware of the tension between Adam and me and even expressed concern for him, though there was little we could do. Fast forward to our engagement just 2 weeks ago, I proposed at my uncle's birthday dinner. With his blessing, the atmosphere was perfect, and I had even invited Riley's parents, ensuring she wouldn't suspect a thing until the moment I asked her to marry me. After I popped the question and she said yes, we celebrated with the family. I noticed Adam leaving shortly after the announcement, but I brushed it off, assuming he was just being his usual self. Riley and I had a fantastic evening, and she didn't mention anything odd about Adam when we returned home. Exhausted and a bit tipsy, I fell asleep almost immediately. I stirred around 2 a.m. to find Riley still on her phone. When I asked her about it, she claimed she was chatting with friends about our engagement. It seemed innocent, so I went back to sleep. 2 days later, while at work, I received a flurry of texts from Adam, unexpected, considering he had blocked me the last time we spoke. The texts from Adam were nothing short of shocking, screenshots of his conversations with Riley, in which they schemed to meet up and hook up. It all started with Adam reaching out to her to congratulate her on our engagement. Riley asked why he hadn't stayed for the rest of the celebration, and he played the victim, claiming he was upset and didn't want to intrude on my happiness. He painted himself as some pitiful character who felt it inappropriate to be present on such a joyous occasion for me. The truth was, I wouldn't have minded if he had stayed. His goal was to elicit sympathy from Riley, making it easier for him to manipulate her, which is exactly what happened. She consoled him, saying there was someone out there for him, and even expressed that I was a great guy, apologizing if our happiness upset him. Adam's response was nothing short of sly. He lamented that he could never find someone like Riley, suggesting that he had already given up on looking. Before I knew it, they were flirting, and just like that, they were planning to meet. I knew for a fact that Riley went to Adam's place the night after our engagement because she had told me she was spending the night at a friend's house to share the news with her. To make matters worse, Adam sent me a picture of Riley's clothes on his bed, a sickening confirmation of their betrayal that left me reeling. After seeing those texts, I took the rest of the day off and rushed home, overwhelmed with emotion. I cried uncontrollably but resolved to take action. I changed the locks on the door and began packing up Riley's things, tossing anything that belonged to her into a cardboard box. By the time I finished, it was almost time for her to come home. She had told me she would go directly to work from her friend's place, but now I knew the truth. She had been at Adam's. Although I initially wanted to confront her in person, the reality of her infidelity, literally the day after I proposed, made it clear that I didn't owe her an explanation. So, I ended it through text, letting her know that I was aware of her hookup with Adam and that I couldn't be with her anymore. I told her she disgusted me and that her things were outside the door. If she had left anything else, she could come back later to collect it. After sending the message, I blocked her. Just minutes later, I heard knocking at my door. Riley was begging to be let in, her voice filled with desperation as she pleaded for a chance to explain herself. She claimed to realize her mistake and insisted that she just wanted me to listen. For about half an hour, I struggled to remain calm and ignore her. Eventually, after trying every tactic from tears to manipulation, she left. I waited an hour before opening the door to ensure she was truly gone. Once I felt safe, I ordered takeout for dinner but was too upset to sleep. I wanted to devise a grand plan for revenge against Adam, but my mind was blank. In the end, I opted for the simplest course of action. I forwarded the screenshots to everyone in the family with the message, "This is what my brother Adam did to me." After that, I turned off my phone and went to bed, having no specific expectations or demands from my relatives. The family's response was overwhelming sympathy. They blocked Adam and planned to cut him out of their lives entirely. Shock and anger rippled through the family as they reached out to console me, except for my mom. For a few days after I sent that message, she didn't speak to me, but a few days later, she visited looking visibly upset, and I knew she wasn't there to console me. Instead, she came to discuss my actions. She told me that while she understood my anger toward Adam, I shouldn't have aired our family's dirty laundry. Her reasoning was that Adam was already suffering, barely scraping by after his failed business and struggling in his love life. It was especially sad because, as a younger man, he had so much potential. Meanwhile, I had exceeded everyone's expectations with my successful career in architecture, earning a high-paying job through hard work. While she spoke, it felt like she was justifying Adam's actions. I interrupted her, asking if she truly believed it was acceptable for him to sleep with my fiancée the very night after I proposed simply because he was down on his luck. After a pause, she conceded that it wasn't okay but urged me to understand his perspective and be sympathetic. She claimed that the family's decision to cut him off had devastated him and that family gatherings were all he had left because he felt too ashamed to be around his more successful friends. I felt no sympathy for him. He had shattered my relationship with Riley, and he deserved every bit of misery that came his way. I firmly believed that I didn't owe him anything, and my mother's insistence that I be the bigger person and reach out to him infuriated me. I snapped, telling her that she had favorites, even if she denied it, and that if the roles were reversed, she wouldn't be so forgiving. Our argument escalated, and she left, saying she wouldn't speak to me until I reached out to Adam to make amends. It's been a few days since then. My relatives, especially my uncle, have checked in on me regularly. Riley continues to text, hoping for a chance to win me back, but I haven't responded. I haven't blocked her yet, but I know I will. The only person I haven't heard from since our fight is my mother, and it leaves me feeling uneasy. I've always sensed that my brother Adam was my mother's favorite. Their inexplicable bond was evident even in my childhood, but until now, my mom had never outright displayed favoritism, at least not to this extent. I'm confused by her recent comments. I'm content with my life, not depressed or anything, but I truly want my mother in my life. Yet, I can't reconcile her opinions about Adam and Riley with my own feelings about their betrayal. So, what do you all think? I felt justified in sending my family proof of Adam and my fiancé's infidelity. Update 1. The response has been overwhelming, and I appreciate everyone who took the time to read my original post and offer their support. It's comforting to know I'm not in the wrong. My mom's comments had me questioning my actions, but it seems I'm justified, and I don't need to reach out to anyone involved. I also talked to my uncle about my mom's remarks. Initially, I hesitated to confide in anyone, but I felt comfortable with him. He echoed my feelings, admitting he had also noticed my mom's preference for Adam. It wasn't always obvious, but anyone paying attention could see it. He expressed sympathy for what I was going through, especially considering how deeply I cared for Riley. It hurt to know she could betray me so easily, but I'm beginning to think I dodged a bullet. I haven't fully moved on from her yet, but I trust one will in time. What concerns me most is my relationship with my mother. I don't want to lose her, but if she continues to victimize Adam, I see little hope for reconciliation. My uncle advised me to let go of that hope, saying my mother wouldn't budge if she believed she was right. It stings to see her prioritizing Adam over me, especially when I'm the one who lost a meaningful relationship, but I'm learning to accept that reality. As my uncle taught me, to let things go. I tried to reason with my mom, but she was more interested in supporting Adam than listening to the truth. Update 2. It's been almost 2 weeks since I broke up with Riley. For a week, she texted me almost daily, but then it tapered off, probably when she realized her pleas for forgiveness weren't working. I don't want to hear her side. Nothing excuses cheating, period. Yesterday, she reached out, asking to collect her remaining belongings. I decided it was time to finalize things. I told her she could come by today since I was taking a day off. When she arrived around noon, I could tell she was distressed. She avoided eye contact as she packed up her things. I sat silently on the couch, ignoring her until she finished. When she said she was leaving, I simply said goodbye and returned to my phone. She didn't deserve anything more than that, and with that, she was gone for good. It feels oddly liberating. I no longer have to think about her or be reminded of her through messages or belongings. After she left, I blocked her and decided to celebrate my newfound freedom by watching our favorite movie alone. Still, there's been no word from my mother. With time, I'm coming to terms with her absence. It's clear now that she would never side with me simply because I'm not Adam. I'm tired of trying to earn her approval. My uncle mentioned that he also had a confrontation with her while defending me, and now they're not speaking either. It's mind-boggling that she would sacrifice her relationships with both of us to defend Adam, despite knowing his character. But if that's her choice, then so be it. Update 3. It's been a month since my last post, and I can hardly believe I spent so much time lamenting my mother's lack of love. I'm feeling stronger now and indifferent to her opinion. She's just as delusional and self-centered as Adam, which explains their connection. I've cut ties with both of them, and I feel an immense sense of relief. They don't deserve someone like me in their lives, nor did Riley. If they can't see my worth, that's on them. Since Riley picked up her things, we haven't spoken. I blocked her afterward, and so did many of our mutual friends once they learned the truth about our breakup. My mother did reach out a few days ago, still refusing to apologize. It's astonishing how she insists on defending Adam, even claiming he's clinically depressed now. I offered her the number of a therapist but made it clear I wouldn't facilitate sympathy for him from our family. In her last message, she tried to play the emotional card, lamenting the loss of her husband and pleading not to lose her two most important men over a stupid petty fight. It's ironic she views this as trivial when it's about my fiancé and a deliberate betrayal. My anger toward Adam is entirely justified, and I refuse to excuse his actions. I told her that if anyone deserved blame, it was her and Adam. After that, I blocked her for good. Now, I can finally move on with my life. They can go to hell for all I care.